Hi, and welcome to today's presentation. My name is Melissa Hoy, and we're going to go through getting to know Saltillo. Now, because we're going to talk about all things Saltillo, everything that you're going to see today is going to focus exclusively on Saltillo products and applications. Other disclosures include that I'm a full-time employee of PRC Saltillo and a member of the following organizations. A little bit more about me. I've been a speech pathologist for over 10 years now. Right now, I work as the Assistive Technology Consultant for the state of Pennsylvania for the Saltillo brand. Before that, I worked out in Seattle, Washington, and represented both Washington and Oregon states for Saltillo. In addition to that, I have a doctorate of clinical science in speech pathology and a specific research interest in caregiver training within AAC. Now, in the materials tab, you're going to find two different handouts. The first one is our combo flyer. And this is going to be a comprehensive look at all of the different product lines that we currently offer at Saltillo. Feel free to use this in future reference either as an electronic form or you can print it to show to families. In addition to that, we have our Keeping Up with Saltillo flyer, which changes regularly just to highlight some of the new features within the Saltillo brand. The hour today is meant to be a comprehensive overview of all things Saltillo. So first, we're going to talk about the technology and all the hardware that's built within our devices. We're going to spend the most of our time talking about vocabulary files and all the differences that could be a good fit for one of your clients. Then we're going to talk about support and all of the different resources that we offer as a company to support you and your team. And if we have enough time, we're going to go back to technology and talk about some of the features and things that you can customize within your device. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of Saltillo, just so you have an idea of where we've come from. Saltillo's been in the AAC market for over 20 years now, and our headquarters are in Worcester, Ohio. We've been a sister company to Prentke Romich for over 10 years. In October of 2018, we strengthened our forces even more and combined to one company called PRC Saltillo. Now that we're one company, we offer two brands, each with our own unique and effective AAC solutions. They're going to differ in technology and vocabulary, but we still maintain the same level of support. One of the other nice things of combining as PRC Saltillo is we can offer a continuum of resources. Some of these resources might be new, some of them you might be familiar with already. Programs such as our Realize Language and AAC Language Lab have been around for a while to provide support, not only from a data logging perspective, but also from an implementation standpoint. We also have newer resources such as our Explore AAC website and our AAC Teletips. I'm going to go into more detail on these later, so stay tuned. Okay, and with that, let's go into the technology. Currently, Saltillo offers three different product lines as fundable AAC solutions, meaning that you're able to get not only the hardware, the software, but have it be a fundable solution that could potentially be funded through insurance. Right now, our three product lines include the NovaChat, the Via Pro, and the TouchChat Express. Now, in addition to our fundable solutions, we also offer our popular TouchChat app, which you can download and use on any sort of iDevice. We try to aim for solutions that are portable, reliable, affordable, but most important, user-friendly. So if we look at all of our solutions from a bird's eye view, let's talk about some of the features that set them apart from each other. If we're looking at different screen sizes, you can see at a glance that between the three product lines, we offer a wide variety of those options. It's going to range all the way from 5 inches, which is going to be similar to a phone size, all the way up to 12 inches. This can be important when you're considering the person that you're working with, especially with their visual or their fine motor skills. You may find that something lightweight and more portable, like a 5-inch device, might be appropriate, or they may need a larger screen surface where a 12-inch device may be better. As far as warranty goes, you can see that there's a difference. Our NovaChat line comes in at 3-year warranty, the Via Pro at 2 years, and our TouchChat Express at 1 year. We have different alternative access options for all of our device lines. Each one offers the assistance for 1 to 2 switch scanning, and our head tracking access is available exclusively on our Via Pro device. If you have somebody who's directly touching the screen, we also offer key guards and touch guides for all of our devices that are 8 inches or above. Let's go into a little bit more detail about each of our device lines. The first one is our NovaChat line. This is our most popular design, and you can see that it's lightweight, portable, and it has a wide variety of screen options. So we talked about before, it starts at 5 inches, that's that phone size, it goes to 8 to 10 inches, and all the way up to 12 inches. The NovaChat line does come with a 3-year warranty, and in addition to it being lightweight and portable, we do have other features, especially for alternative access. So if you have somebody who's scanning, we have robust scanning options that allow you to change the auditory prompts and the visual effects. The Via Pro is our newest device that's out there. It was released in August of 2020. If you have somebody who's more familiar with the Apple system and they want to take advantage of all the features of iOS, the Via Pro might be a really great fit. Not only does it come with the latest technology in iOS hardware, but it comes with a durable case that meets medical guideline standards. Now, if you're using the TouchChat software and want to take advantage of some of our alternative access features, you would also have access to integrated head tracking and scanning within the chat software. And again, if you're more familiar with Apple products and want to stick with that hardware, we offer a smaller, lightweight device coming in at 8 inches called the TouchChat Express. Because the TouchChat Express is a smaller size, it is of course a lower weight and a lower cost. Now, if you want to customize your device even more, we now have the option for different wrap options with our classic and our active wraps. Our classic wrap is going to incorporate our sleek classic design that's lightweight and portable, while the active wrap provides that added durability for all of our active communicators. Right now, the active and classic wraps are available for our NovaChat 8, NovaChat 10, as well as our Via Pro. We offer other hardware accessories that you can see here. For help with access, we offer key guards, touch guides, as well as switches. We offer a USB drive for quick backup of the vocabulary files. For portability with your AAC system, we offer items like a carrying case, straps, hand support, and other mounting options. Some of these hardware accessories are included automatically with fundable devices, and some would be considered an added accessory. The Era Switch is another new product that we just released in early winter of 2020. It's the first dual-branded product between PRC Saltillo, and it's a wireless switch that can be connected via Bluetooth. Not only can it be a standalone wireless switch, but it can also be a wireless hub if you want to plug in 2 wired switches. The Era Switch allows you to scan not only in, but also outside of your chat software. So if you're teaching communication or switch access, the Era Switch can do both. The Era Switch is compatible with all of our current Saltillo products, but you can also use it with any other product available that runs Bluetooth 4.1 or higher. If you're looking for a more DIY solution and already have your hardware established, you may be interested in our TouchChat app. Our TouchChat app can be downloaded from the App Store within Apple and can be used on any iDevice. Currently, we have 3 different versions of the TouchChat app. We have TouchChat Lite, TouchChat HD, and TouchChat HD with word power. If you want more information and want to go into more detail, you can check out our website, TouchChatApp.com. So now that we've talked about all the technology and everything that goes on the outside of the device, let's talk about what's inside the device, specifically the vocabulary files. Now there's many ways that you can organize vocabulary files, and sometimes you can even put them into different buckets and label them. For example, core word systems are going to have single words attached to a button, which allow for that novel language generation and more flexibility in your communication. Phrase-based systems are going to chunk those words and have carrier phrases like things I want or I need. Keyboard systems are going to include your quirky or alphabetical setup that allows the individual to type out whatever they want to say. Many of the vocab files within Saltillo include a variety of these options because just like our AAC users, not everyone's going to fit into just one bucket, and our vocabulary files don't either. So as we go through and explore some of these vocab files, I'm going to touch upon what some of these buckets or labels that these vocab files could fall into. Now you can see at a glance, Saltillo offers a wide variety of vocabulary files because again, we know that it's not a one-size-fits-all, and we want to give you guys a variety of options to consider when you're working with your client. You can see though that regardless of the product line you're on, whether it's the NovaChat, the Via Pro, or the TouchChat Express, a lot of the vocabulary files are going to be similar across each of those devices. That can come in really handy if you're using the app TouchChat, but want to then try something that's a fundable system. Your user's not going to have to worry about changing their vocab file or graduating to something different, because from their perspective, the vocab file is going to be the same. Now you can see from this chart, there are going to be some differences depending on the vocab file you're using. So while most of them are the same, there are going to be some additions depending on the product line. For example, if you're using our VIA Pro or a TouchChat Express device, you're going to have additional in-app purchases that could vary between the language or possibly the features you want to use, such as the unique learning system or the news to you pages. And I think at the end, we're going to talk a little bit more about those two last options, so stay tuned. Now, we're not going to have time today to go in depth with all of the different vocab files that Saltillo offers, but I do want to touch upon some of the big categories and give you just a brief overview on each of those. The first category that we're going to talk about is our WordPower suite. Then we're going to talk about communication journey aphasia. We'll touch upon MultiChat 15. And then we'll talk about the different scanning files we offer, specifically for those who are using that 1-to-2 switch scanning. So let's dive in first and talk about WordPower. WordPower is a core-based vocabulary system that's designed to be very intuitive and easy to use. It takes advantage of the fact that there's a similar set of words that account for a large amount of what we communicate. This could be communicating across different contexts and with different communication partners. There's a lot of evidence-based to support core vocabulary, and WordPower takes advantage of all of that. Now, the predictive nature of the system allows someone to communicate novel information with minimal keystrokes. So I like to explain this to families that WordPower tries to program in a robust amount of vocabulary, but builds in the navigation patterns to make it efficient for the communicator. So for somebody that's struggling to put together words and really get their message out in an effective way, WordPower might be a solution worth trying. Now, in addition to the core vocabulary, when we were talking about those different buckets, it also includes a keyboard for spelling. WordPower was developed by Nancy Inman, who's a well-regarded speech-language pathologist in the AAC community. Now you can see from this slide here, WordPower comes in a variety of options. So it starts on the Saltillo software at 20 buttons on the screen and goes all the way up to 140. WordPower provides a lot of different options, not so much as a stepping stone, so you graduate from 20 and then move up to 140, but rather as a place for you to decide, looking at someone's visual or motor capabilities, where they would fall best. We want to try to make these buttons as small as we can and let them grow into their vocabulary. That way they don't have to learn something new down the road. WordPower also includes features such as button color coding to indicate the part of speech. This can be really helpful for communication partners to help locate and model vocabulary. WordPower also uses evidence-based features for vocabulary design, such as the consistent motor placement of words. Now, in addition to our core word and our keyboard pages, WordPower files have a lot of other great tools and features to encourage and support communication and social interaction. So in this example here, you can see the animal sounds page, as well as our early books pages, such as Brown Bear and other popular children's books. We're going to delve into these once we can explore the file. What I really like about the early books pages is that it gives a nice place, a starting point for modeling language. So if you have communication partners that are very new to AAC, and especially really new to WordPower, this can be a really great place to work on shared reading activities and really get and use that routine of modeling more. Now, WordPower does come in a variety of Spanish files, so if you have somebody that wants to exclusively use our Spanish files and take advantage of core vocabulary, Spanish WordPower can be a great fit. In addition, if you have somebody who's bilingual and wants to switch between the different languages, you can set up WordPower to mirror those languages. One vocab set would be in English and one would be in Spanish. Now that we've talked a little bit about WordPower, let's dive in and look at it in more depth. I'm going to switch over to my doc cam here. So I talked about earlier that WordPower comes in a variety of different word locations. So it can start at 20 words on a page and go all the way up to 140. The layout that I have here is WordPower 60 Basic. What I like about this file is it does meet us right in the middle between our different grid displays, but our basic files include additional symbol support for somebody who might be in that emerging literacy category. Now, we talked about before that WordPower is meant to be predictable and easy to use. It tries to predict what you want to say next without limiting your vocabulary. So So for example, if I am at that 1 to 2 word utterance, and maybe I'm just putting those words together, I can quickly get to my second word. For example, if I hit the word eat, it automatically takes me to the next logical word, which would be something in the food category.
Pretzels.
So again, for our beginning communicator, we can string words together pretty quickly.
Eat pretzels.
Now, as our language starts to grow and we start to put more words together, word power is going to grow with us without having to graduate to a different system. So you can see where as I start to put more words together, the screens are going to change because it's trying to predict what I want to say next.
Like. Eating.
And my eat word is still in the same spot.
Pretzels.
So I can still take what I've learned.
I like eating pretzels.
But I can add on to it as well. Another great feature of word power is its ability to add in grammatical markers and different morphemes. So for example, if I want to start my sentence, you can see that some of the verbs start to conjugate as it tries to predict what I want to say next. This can help with efficiency, but again, it doesn't really limit what we want to say.
To read. A book. I like to read a book.
Word power also builds in a smart sentence feature, so if I add a period or a question mark or an exclamation point to the end of my sentence, it reads the entire thing up in the speech display bar and then clears it out for the next thing I want to say.
You. I help you.
That can really help with some of those operational competencies as well. Because word power has a lot of robust vocabulary pre-programmed, we try to build in supports for the communication partner to find and model some of this vocabulary. We talked already about the button color coding, how the background color designates what type of word it is. So for example, verbs or action words are going to be green, pronouns are going to be yellow, prepositions are going to be blue, and so forth. Some other things we have built in, including the alphabetical organization. So on some of our pages where it's very noun heavy and a lot of terms, we do have the words in alphabetical order. Some other examples where we can see that include our actions page. So we have some highly frequent words on the first couple pages, but if you can't find your word after that, you can come up here to the alphabetical page and find additional vocabulary. The description page is similar to that as well. We try to put the high frequency words on the first couple pages, but if there's another word you're looking for, you can always come up here from the A to Z section. Now, in addition to the core vocabulary stuff, we also have our keyboard page. So we talked before about there's different buckets that vocabulary files can fall into. In this case, word power is going to include a lot of those buckets. So we have our quirky keyboard, which includes word prediction as well. But if you have an emerging communicator or emerging literate communicator, we also have features including our phonemic keyboard. So I can come up here to beginning keyboard and our phonics page. And instead of just giving the letter sound, it gives me the sound that it gives me the phonemic sound as well. So this can be really good for individuals who are working on sound to letter correspondence and different phonemic skills. Now, another cool feature we talked about in one of the slides are early books pages. So if I come into groups and under reading, I have an early books section. We've already pre-programmed in a few boards for popular children's books, but we have a lot of real estate that you can put in your own books as well. What's really great about this is I can have all of my words from a story on one page, and it can be really a great starting point for shared reading activities to really look at and building our modeling skills.
Brown bear.
So for example, brown bear, I have all of my words on one page that I can have my book open and I can be modeling and using our language all on one screen. Now, our goal here, of course, is not to stay on the screen. We want to be able to move on to the general vocabulary, which is why you see that some of our words are in the same motor location as we would see on the normal page. So our pronouns and even the word see, if I go back to the beginning, those pronouns and our action words are in the same motor location. Again, the idea is we have it as a starting point, but we eventually want to be able to model on a fully dynamic display to screen. Now, if I want to take my literacy skills even further, I can come into one of my pages, and I'm going to go back to my early books page, for example.
Brown bear.
and I can turn on a feature called Popup Speech. Popup Speech was developed and researched by Penn State University through the RERC. What's really great about it is going to help with my use and acquisition of sight words. In order to activate it, I can come into Settings, and I can check my box up here for Popup Speech. There's a lot of other settings that you can go into, but for right now, I just want to activate it and back out to my main grid display. Now, once I'm on a static display where I'm not going to be changing screens, you can see where Popup Speech begins to emerge. So as I'm reading my story and I'm modeling vocabulary, the Popup Speech starts to emerge. So you can see it's a single text-based system that's just going to model that printed word.
Duck.
You can change the settings depending on how long you want it to stay. If you want it to go away automatically, you have different options.
Blue.
And when I'm ready to turn that off, I can come back into settings and uncheck that option. Popup Speech is a feature that's really great when you're working on sight words. It's not a feature that you want to necessarily have on all the time, but it's great to work, again, with some of those emerging literate communicators. The last feature we're going to look at within WordPower is our stories and scripts. So let's say, for example, I want to share what I'm going to do this weekend, and I don't want to have to repeat my sentence multiple times. I still want to be able to share my message, but I want to do it in a very quick and efficient way. I can start to say what I'm going to do.
I'm going to the park.
All right, so I've built my message of what I'm going to do this weekend. Now I want to be able to save that. That way I can go back later and tell somebody new that message. I'm going to come into groups, go to stories and scripts. And what I can do is I have a landing place of different places I can put it. If I wanted to go ahead and pre-program this ahead of time, I could, and I can make it say something like weekend plans, weekend news, or really whatever I wanted it to say. But in this case, I want to be able to save my message. And the first pop-up I get is telling me that whatever is in my speech display bar, it's going to automatically be put on the next button that I tap. So now that I've saved my message, I can go home, I can clear things out, I can keep communicating throughout the day. But the moment somebody asks me what I'm going to do this weekend, I don't have to generate my sentence. I can come back into stories and scripts, and it's already saved for me.
I am going to the park.
Now we're going to talk about towards the end some of the resources that if you want to explore WordPower more on your own, you'll have that option and you can download one of our free programs to do so. I would encourage you to go through and look at the different grid displays because WordPower 60 is a nice starting point, but depending on your person, you may need to have the buttons smaller or you may need to have them bigger. You'll see that the navigation patterns within WordPower are slightly similar between different files, but it's good to start exactly where you want to be and make sure you stay there and grow into it. Let's go back to our PowerPoint and look at our next vocab file, which is communication journey aphasia. Now, the communication journey aphasia was based on the life participation approach, and it's a file that would be appropriate for individuals who are post-CVA that may have global, expressive, and receptive language difficulties. Unlike a lot of other vocab files that can generally be used right out of the box to start communicating, WordPower being a good example of this, we anticipate that for this file, you're going to customize it pretty heavily for the individual prior to them using it. Now, because this file is different, we also don't anticipate that you're going to put this in front of the person who has aphasia and expect independent communication. We anticipate that you're going to need a communication partner to help facilitate that communication back and forth. Let's go ahead and dive into communication journey aphasia next. I'm going to go back to my screen here. Go into my library. So I'm looking right now at the US version of communication journey aphasia. There is a UK version as well as a Spanish version, all of course having specific vocabulary for that. Now, like we said before, communication journey aphasia is a really great starting place. We try to give you a lot of the different vocabulary and file options, but we're going to anticipate and hope that this file is customized specifically for the person you're using with. And not to say that you're not going to customize any communication file or any vocab file, but this one particularly should be customized prior to use. Now you're going to have your general categories like things that are pretty standard vocabulary. People, again, a general category. We've left a lot of stuff blank because, again, you're going to be the one to customize this. But we've also built in other visuals that we've been using in aphasia therapy over the years that now have more of an electronic version. So for example, if I come into maps, some of these visual scenes are pre-populated. So if I want to talk to somebody about where I've traveled in the past, or maybe where I'd like to go, I can hotspot those within my visual scene.
Texas.
And so forth. Now again, we've given you some visual scenes to get started with. Obviously, we have some other real estate that if you wanted to add your own stuff, which we hope that you do, you can add that. Some other great features of the communication journey aphasia include our keyboard calendar page. So if I want to be able to go in and talk about some appointments that are coming up, again, you can see where these visual options are just included.
2:30 p.m. That works.
And if you can picture this, you're going to be working with your communication partner going back and forth to talk about these files. Another option here under the Me page is the My Timeline. So again, if we're thinking about how to make this customizable for the person, you could use the timeline feature where you are going to program in all of these steps along the way. This could be great if you want to give an entire timeline throughout their entire life, or perhaps if you just want to have it start from the time that they've had their stroke and have more of a medical history. I've seen some individuals where they'll say, yes, I had a stroke in, say, 2010, and they'll go through each of these talking about their med list and different steps since then, maybe the therapy they've had and so forth. So you can see where you have a few different options, and you can always make multiple timelines if need be. Now, because we are working with individuals with aphasia, we might see a lot of word finding issues, in which case we have a page for that. So if we want to talk about categorically how to hone in on some of those words, that circumlocution, you have a page for that as well. And again, we try to get enough to get you started, but we anticipate you're going to customize this pretty heavily based on your person. And the last thing we have are different scales, things such as the pain scale, ease of use, etc. So with that, let's go back to our next vocab file, which is MultiChat 15. So MultiChat 15 is great for clients who would benefit from more of a phrase-based message system. And these are going to be for individuals who need more context-specific vocabulary, and generally are going to be communicators that are more in that emerging communicator category. So this could be an individual where they're very good at, say, requesting, maybe at school or at home, but anything outside of that or anything generalized to other communication functions or other people, they really struggle with or need a lot of support for that, a lot of prompting. So MultiChat 15 is meant to chunk the vocabulary in a phrase-based way, which means as you'll see as we go through, carrier phrases are included, such as I want, I need, I don't want, etc. Now, as you can see from here, there's 3 different versions of MultiChat 15. There's the student version, adolescent, and adult. The vocabulary files are going to function the same, but the vocabulary itself is going to be age appropriate to that population. So for example, in the student version, you're going to see more school-related vocab, but as we get to the older, such as adolescent and adult, you'll see more work-related items, telephone, etc. Let's go ahead and switch over so we can look at this in more depth. Go back into my library. We're going to look at the student version for right now. So again, as the name suggests, 15 buttons on the screen, hence MultiChat 15. You're going to have your category buttons up here at the top, so pretty self-explanatory stuff that we've seen before. But the carrier phrase piece is what I like most. So let's say, for example, I want to make a simple request. I don't want to think too much about the navigation because maybe I'm a beginning communicator that just needs quick, effective, and spontaneous communication. It's going to guide me through what I want to say.
I want.
It's going to give me the next logical group of options. And again, it's still chunked. So it's in that phrase-based format.
To eat.
Again, takes me to that next logical word. Obviously, we're talking about eat. We want to talk about food.
And cooking.
And there we go.
I want to eat cooking.
So within a couple hits, I've already built a full sentence. Another great feature about this when it comes to requesting is we have an option to keep the conversation going. So if I want to say I want
To
play, you can see that it automatically takes me to an activity board. So not only have I made my request, but now I can continue the conversation and work on things outside of just requesting. So maybe I'm going to comment on things, we have turn taking. It's not just about making that request, it's about how do I continue the conversation and really aiming for that spontaneous, unprompted communication. Now on the right-hand side, you're always going to see these navigation buttons such as go back, clear, and home. Again, thinking about that operational competencies, how to make that pretty simple. Now, if we go back to our bucket analogy, you can see that on the bottom row, there's going to be different options. So not only do I have my phrase-based communication, but I also have a keyboard. So if I want to work on that, we have it in a quirky setup. And I also have a core word page if I want to start that and build off of that and start to build into some of my core vocabulary. MultiChat 15 also gives you the option for visual scenes. So if I come in here, we anticipate that you're going to customize your own visual scenes pretty heavily to be exclusive for the person using the device. But we do have some to get you started and get thinking about some of the ways you could use them. So you can see where I have my picture in the back. It's hot spotted with certain things. I also have grid-based buttons here on the sides. So if I want to utilize the best of both worlds, I can. So I have my visual scene and my grid buttons. Now, the other cool thing about MultiChat 15 is our chat page. So we have our greeting words such as hi's and bye's. I can talk about how I'm feeling. I can also make jokes. I can make comments. And I also have an about me page. So again, this is going to have to be customized for the person using the device, but you can see where we give you enough stuff to get started. Last set of files, which are going to be our scanning files. Now, our scanning files are going to be for individuals who use scanning as their access method. Because scanning brings its own unique challenges compared to somebody who's directly accessing the screen, either via direct touch access, head tracking, eye gaze, we know that individuals who scan have a unique set of challenges. So we want to try to provide files that meet those needs. So the first files we're going to look at are the basic and intermediate scan files. These were designed for emerging communicators who are also learning to scan as well. So the file is primarily going to use sentence level utterances. So we talked before about how with word power, it's going to be more core word based, so a single word is attached to a button. Our MultiChat 15 page has more phrase based, so maybe the words are chunked together, like I want, to drink, etc. A sentence level is going to be where my button is maybe going to say one or two words on the actual printed button, but when I tap it, it's going to say an entire sentence. Now, basic and intermediate scan not only has the sentence level utterances, but they also give you space for core vocabulary. That way you can balance increasing your functional communication as well as language development. Now, in this example, you can see where on the right-hand side, that screenshot shows you what basic and intermediate scan looks like when everything is unhidden. But if you wanted to start small, you could do what they've done on the left-hand side and mask a lot of the vocabulary. That might be a place to start, and as the person grows their vocabulary and their communication, you would slowly start to unhide those buttons. That way you're scaffolding their language. Now we anticipate that somebody who's using these files are going to use auditory scanning, that way they can hear the prompts, and also linear scanning where they're going to scan one by one on the screen. Let's go into more depth and we'll go back to our communication device. And what I really want to highlight is how some of this works, especially from that sentence level organization. So in this example, I don't have anything hidden. I'm going to show you everything. And the first one I'm going to show you is the basic scan. So you can see where as I'm going through, and I'm just going to touch the screen for right now.
Can we talk? Are you listening?
That's an example of that sentence level utterance. So the button itself only says talk, but when I touch it, it gives me that full sentence. Because again, the idea of this file is to not only teach our scanning, but also look at that communication and how can we interact with the person we're talking to. Here's another example.
I want to listen to music. Make it quiet.
Now you're going to see this beginning page on everyone. That way you can always go back to the beginning. I talked about before that there's two different versions of this. There's basic scan and intermediate scan. Some of the big differences between them involve the core word page. On the basic scan file, you're going to see pretty limited set of words, but enough to get you started with some of those core vocabulary. As we move up to the intermediate scan, a lot of these words are going to expand, so you're going to see more options to go through. If you wanted to at this point, you could move to a row column, but it would really be up to the individual you're working with. Let's look at our next scanning file. So next is our WordPower 25 touch and scan file. This is an excellent file for somebody that wants to take advantage of core vocabulary and the beauties of WordPower, but that needs to use scanning as their access modality. Scan patterns are already built into this to make it more conducive for somebody who's using that access method. Our last scanning option is going to be WordPower 140 Scan and Touch. Now, as you can see, this is organized a lot differently than the other WordPower files available. We anticipate that somebody using this file is going to be heavily working with not only those high-frequency little words, such as the ones at the top half of the screen, but also utilizing the keyboard and using word prediction as well. We would anticipate that somebody is going to use a block scanning pattern, as we've already built this into the file. So here's a video highlighting how WordPower 140 looks when it's scanned in action. You can see where it utilizes a block scanning format, so it's going to scan in chunks, and it's going to be highlighted in red. That's how they know where they're at. What I really love about 140 is that it allows you to say whatever you need to say and gives that flexibility and robust vocabulary to the communicator. So for the most part, those high frequency words are going to be in the top half, and you can see where as it goes to block, once we get to the block we want, it goes to a row column pattern and so forth. Again, the big idea here is that we can efficiently get to what we want to say without limiting that. Now, for some communicators, what they like to do is use that first half to get those little words, and then they may go over to their keyboard and use word prediction for some of that fringe vocabulary. In this case, a lot of the vocabulary they're looking for their sentence is all going to be within those first two blocks. But for somebody that did want to use the keyboard, you'll notice it's not designed in a quirky format, but rather organized based on high frequency letter use. And there we go. And again, you may notice that it is sometimes tedious to use that scanning pattern, but if that's the access modality that works best for our user, we want to try to think about how to make communication as efficient and as independent as possible. And WordPower 140 might be able to handle that for your client. So now that we've talked about vocabulary, and we'll talk a little bit next about the support, if there's any vocab files that you would want to explore in more depth, we do have software that you could download that might accomplish that. If you have any questions or want to see any of these vocab files in more depth, you can always reach out to your local consultant to do so. So with that, let's talk about the different support. We anticipate that once you get a device, that's not the end of your journey. So we want to be able to provide you with a lot of different support options to continue that communication journey for you and for the individual who's using the device. There's a lot of different support options that we offer, and we're going to talk about these 4 different categories. So consultant support, tech support, our website support, as well as additional tools available to you. So the first thing is the consultant support. Our consultants are located all across the nation and can support you in a wide variety of things, and really through the continuum of acquiring a device. We can be there at the very beginning for a device trial, or if you want to set up a loaner device. We can be there if you're looking to get funding help and try to get your device funded through insurance. But more importantly, after you have your device, we can provide free support for that, not only for you, but for the people on your team. So it can be through doing free training, such as the one you're doing right now, or it can be individualized support just to make sure that the device is successful for not only the person using the device, for everybody on the team. Now, our consultants also offer additional trainings. So similar to the one that you're doing right now, we offer a host of different classes ranging between product classes and also implementation. So depending on where you want to learn more, I would encourage you to check out the website saltillo.com/training and look at the different options we have. Some of our trainings are going to be live trainings and some are going to be recorded. If you're looking for more individualized support, I would recommend checking out our tech support. Our tech people know the devices in and out and can help you figure out what you're trying to accomplish. They can support you either through a phone call, through email, or even through live chat. And in addition, we do have Spanish support for our Spanish-speaking families. Next is our website support. So if you're looking for different resources, maybe from an implementation standpoint, which we're going to go into a little bit more detail here in a sec, or if you're just looking for quick tutorials, maybe you're looking for a video on how to program a button or different features that are out there, we have you covered. So this can be found on our website, saltillo.com, under the Support and Training tab. Now, our chat corner section of the website is an ever-growing wealth of resources. We're continually adding to this, not only to provide you print and go activities, but also activities that can be customized specifically for the person you're working with. The idea here is to get you really thinking about how to use some of the vocabulary, not only to increase language skills, but just functional communication throughout the day. Now, if you wanted to learn more specifically just to spend time exploring the chat corner, we do have a new training that does exactly this. So if you want to just spend time exploring the chat corner, I'd recommend checking out our website under those trainings to look for that class. Just to give you a sneak preview though, the chat corner is going to include a lot of different resources, all of which are free and download to use. So whether you're using our devices, using WordPower, for example, these can be great for that, but they can be good for any sort of AAC system as well. So for example, our Choosing Vocabulary First activity is a great worksheet to get you thinking about vocabulary outside of just requesting. So in this example, with our activities put here in the center, in this case bubbles, but then on the outside of it, we're highlighting all the different words that can go along with it. So again, the idea here is to expand language. In this example, we give you some activities to get started with where we've already come up with the activity and all the vocabulary, but we also have blank sheets if you would want to fill these out specific to the person you're working with. Some other cool resources include our Active with AAC. So again, this is a nice print and go activity just to get you moving and outside of just sitting down. Lots of really cool resources to talk about core vocabulary words and how to use these in practice. Some other great examples are practice sentences. This is especially nice if you're using WordPower. We know that WordPower can be a little daunting because there's a lot of words built into there. So if you're looking for some practice sentences, either for you or for your teams to work on, this can be a really nice resource. And our last example here is our Let's Teach Core. Again, just like WordPower and core vocabulary in general, it can be really daunting to teach some of this stuff. So our Let's Teach Core takes one core vocabulary word and gives you a whole printout page on all the different things you can use it for. So just ways to model the word, maybe different activities to generalize it, just to get some of those either common or maybe more abstract core vocabulary into the person's communication. Another great web resource that we touched upon at the beginning is the AAC Language Lab. So this is a screenshot of one example. What I love about the AAC Language Lab is it takes not only the PRC, but also the Saltillo brand vocabularies and gives you activities on how to use those either at home or at school or wherever your setting is. Some of the AAC Language Lab resources are free, but you can also get an annual subscription for $19.95. Some other great website supports include our low-tech communication boards. So whether you just want a single board with all of the vocabulary on one page, you can also make a flip book that's going to mirror some of those high-tech systems that are out there. You can also get a poster size board printed, and we have that high-quality resolution prints that you can take and get. So that way, if you wanted to make your own poster size board for your classroom or your clinic, you have that available to you. And if you haven't seen one or have one in your hands already, every year for the past couple of years, Saltillo has published a calendar. Every year we have a different theme on our calendar. This year for 2020, it was a sensational journey, so talking about all the different senses. What's really great about the calendar is that every month we give you a different story and give you activities and words that you can model relating to that story. Now in this example for August 2020, not only do we give you the word, but we also give you the QR code. So if you want to link that up and watch the video that goes along with it, we have somebody reading and modeling along with the story. I really like that resource because I can give it to families to show what that can look like when put into practice. Now our website also gives other additional activities, so not only the ones that are on the calendar, but additional activities that go along with it. And I should point out, if you don't have the calendar in hand, you can download the whole digital copy of the calendar from our website. Now, there's a lot of other great tools out there to support your device. We're going to highlight some of these today. The first one we're going to talk about is ChatEditor. Now, I talked about earlier when we were talking about vocabulary that if you wanted a way to explore some of these files in more depth, ChatEditor is going to be the program to accomplish that. It's a free software program that you can download and run on any Windows computer. ChatEditor has a lot of different features and a lot of really neat things that can happen. But overall, what we want it to do is support our Saltillo devices, so either our fundable AAC solutions or even those running the TouchChat app. There's a lot of different things you can do with ChatEditor. I would say that if you guys are interested in learning more and just talking about ChatEditor, check out some of our other trainings, our product trainings that can show you some of these in more depth. But at a glance, you can see that ChatEditor can do these 4 things. You can use it to customize your device. So if you don't want to have your device in front of you but want to change up the vocabulary, you can do it from ChatEditor and then sync the device later. ChatEditor can also be used to transfer vocab files between devices. You can also use it to interact. So in this case, somebody actually used ChatEditor and projected it on their smartboard and essentially turned their smartboard into an AAC device. This was great not only for the person using the device to be able to go up in front of the class and talk about what they wanted to say, but it could also be for peers who aren't using the system. We know that peer modeling is a pretty strong support out there, so anything we can do to encourage that is helpful. And the last thing you can do is create materials. So if you want to be able to screenshot some of the symbols or just build in visual supports for things you're already using, whether it be books or electronic resources, ChatEditor can accomplish that. And again, if you want to learn more about this, I would encourage looking at some of our free trainings. Another cool resource we offer is our Realized Language System. So this program has been around for a while. It utilizes the idea of data logging on the device. So once I turn on data logging, which is free to do on any PRC or Saltillo device, it's going to be tracking what I'm saying and using on the device. If I want to visualize that data, I can use my Realized Language website to do so. If you want to learn more about Realized Language, we do have some free webinars to look at that. Realized Language is an annual subscription. And you can see here, once you visualize that data, it gives you a lot of different options, whether I want to do a word cloud or if I want to get a calendar to see when the device is being used. What I really like about it is from a treatment planning and goal writing perspective, it gives me an idea of all the different words that are being used spontaneously or that are being modeled. So for example, if I have somebody in this picture, you can see it, if they're saying a lot of nouns, but maybe not a lot of verbs or other parts of speech, I know then how to target that in my lesson planning. Another cool option is our News to You and Unique Learning System pages. We do partner with News to You and create free boards that match that system. They're free for the NovaChat devices, and if you want to get them for the Via Pro or the TouchChat Express, there are additional in-app purchases. You can find the boards by downloading them here and then uploading them into the software. And of course, you can always use your USB drive to accomplish this if you want. A newer resource that we have is our Explore AAC website. This was released a couple years ago and is a nice overview and a great resource if you're looking to explain to somebody who's new to the AAC realm what it is and what the steps are. It's not very product focused, it's more of a resource to show families and professionals who are new to AAC what it is and video examples of people using AAC. Again, exploreaac.com is the website, and I usually recommend it to anybody who's just starting their AAC journey. Our last resource is the AAC Teletips website. This was a venture that we released a couple months ago as our world became a lot more virtual than it used to be. It's a really nice resource for individuals who are working with people who use AAC, either from a treatment perspective or from an evaluation perspective. It talks about a lot of the different virtual platforms you can utilize and how to model and accomplish what we've already been trying to do in person, but have now moved to a virtual platform. Now that we've talked about those big categories about technology, vocabulary, and support, we're going to loop back to technology for a second just to give a highlight of some of the customization features that you can do within your device. Now, just like any AAC system, at some point you're going to have to make it personal. So whether it's customizing the vocabulary and the different buttons, or customizing the settings to make it match the person who's using it. So some things within the vocabulary that you can do include changing a button. You can always add a new page. You can hide show buttons. So if you don't want everything showing, you can mask part of it without deleting anything. You can also change the different button styles to give it a different background color or to highlight. And you can change background colors to adjust for visual needs. So if you need to have more of a darker background, you can accomplish that. In addition to customizing vocabulary, there's different setting options that can be changed. Whether it's the access method, there's different settings within each of one to accomplish that. You can change the voice, not only the voice that's speaking that synthesized voice, but you can change different pronunciations of words. We also have different menu bar options, such as our word finding feature, menu lock, and we also have profiles to be able to toggle between different setting options. I'm going to switch over to my .cam next to show you some of these setting features. The first one I'm going to show you is Word Finder. So let's say, for example, and this is really prevalent on our Word Power file, is I'm not sure where a word is and I want to be able to find it quickly. Instead of hunting and pecking through the different words, I can come up here and I can activate a setting called Word Finder. And when I do that, I can start to type in my word. Now, pending my word is if it's in the vocabulary, you'll start to see a pathway to the word. And so what I can do is I know for a fact that that word is there and I don't have to add it, but then I can see the pathway. So I need to go to Groups, Pets, and then Rabbit. I'll back out. Groups, Pets. And because it's alphabetized, it helps me as the communication partner. There it is. Now, Word Finder can be used not only on the menu bar, but it can also be utilized in the keyboard as well. So if I want to type in my word, I'm going to type in my single word. On the QWERTY screen, somewhere in the keyboard, you'll find a Find Word option. And there's my pathway. Now, if there's multiple pathways to the word, it'll start to rotate through different ones. Keep in mind, I am showing you this on a NovaChat device within the Android system. It's going to look slightly different within our TouchChat software. Another cool feature we can add to the menu bar includes that menu lock. So if you have wandering fingers or somebody who we don't necessarily want to get in and change the settings in the vocabulary, I can set up my menu lock. That way, if somebody accidentally were to access this, they have to type in a password to get past it. We have talked about a lot of information in the last hour, and it might be a lot of information to remember moving forward. So what is your next step? My recommendation would be to reach out to your local consultant and either meet with them virtually or just touch base and talk about who you are and what you're doing. You can find that information under our website, saltillo.com, under the Support and Education tab. There you can type in your zip code and find out who your local consultant is. In addition to that, I'd recommend exploring our website for all of our free resources and more info. It could be checking out that implementation chat corner part. It could be looking up another training and seeing what's out there. I hope this training has given you a good overview of all of the things Saltillo and where you can go next with your client. Thank you so much for attending the last hour and have a great rest of your day.